welcome to episode 10 of GenTech. In this episode, we're going to be talking about StoryMap Js, which is another tool that was built by the Northwestern University lab. And they may sound familiar to you because in our first episode this season, I went over TimelineJS, which is another tool that they built. So this tool is a little bit different in that it focuses on more of visual elements in your linear narrative stories that you're telling. So you can incorporate maps, photos, text, and it's all in a really cool, presentable format. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So StoryMap JS, as I said, is a really cool tool for linear narratives especially. And in this presentation, I'll be talking about what StoryMap JS is, why you would want to use it, and I'll go through a demo and show you how you can use it. Like I said, it was created by the Northwestern University Night Lab. It's a tool for interactive stories, and you can incorporate maps, photos, videos, audio, all kinds of stuff. It allows you to set up maps pretty easily. All you do is just type in the name of a place or an address, and it pops up. And so you can see that visual on the left-hand side of your presentation, and on the right you can have your text explaining more about certain events that are going on. You also don't need to code to use this tool, so that's a great plus. And it is newer than TimelineJS. Like I said, Northwestern University Night Lab created TimelineJS, and StoryMap JS is one of their newer tools. Here's an example of a story map in StoryMap JS. As you can see, they've utilized an image, and they also have places that they can note as well. Each of these icons indicate what the type of media is. So in this instance, there's a photo that's associated with this event. And you can have a caption as well as a photo credit and additional information about that particular event or that particular location. And why would you want to use StoryMap JS? So the linear narrative of having events happen one after the other helps you visualize the time aspect of the events in your family history, and the maps help you visualize the place. So by being able to present both of those, it allows you to share events that have happened to your family in an accessible way. If you are a coder, this may be interesting to you. The code is actually open source, so you can take a look at how things are working under the hood, and you can truly customize it to fit your needs. So where can you use StoryMap JS? Well, you can actually use it on most websites, including WordPress.org, Squarespace, Wix, custom websites. You basically would use an embed code from your story map and just paste it on your website. You can also share the link to your story map via social media, email, anywhere you can think of. And with this tool, one way in which it differs from TimelineJS is that you can actually save your projects in an account. When you get started, it prompts you to create or to use your Google account, and you save all of your projects within that on the Night Lab's website. And what's the catch with this tool? As I mentioned, it is linked to your Google account, so it is a plus or a minus. If you want to use it on WordPress, you actually need an iframe plugin to do that, and you can't use it on WordPress.com websites. WordPress.com websites really don't let you use plugins to the same extent as WordPress.org, and that's the reason why you can't really use it on WordPress.com. Now, if you do create a story map and you have a WordPress.com website and you still want to link to it, you can definitely do that. Just grab the link from StoryMap JS's website and just paste it on your website somewhere. And this tool is really best for stories that are location driven. So again, as I mentioned, location and time are really great elements that you want to take full advantage of with this tool. So let's go ahead and jump into that demo. All right, so we're on the StoryMap JS website, and to get there you go to storymap.nightlab.com, and of course I'll put the link to this in the description below so you guys can easily get access to that. You can also find it by just searching Google, or just going to Google and searching for StoryMap JS and Night Lab, and you'll find it that way. So here's an example of a story map that they've created. They have a map, as you can see over here on the left-hand side of the screen, and these different, I suppose, events you can click on to go to different aspects of the story. So with this first one, they have an image at the top here, a little title to explain what the story map is about. And it's basically your overview slide to show every single point in your story and how the story kind of comes together as a whole. So I can click on the arrow to the right here, and it goes to the first point in the story. And this seems like this is a story, I guess, about westward expansion. So you can see the time period that they're looking at here, as well as the place. And you can also incorporate photos to further illustrate that. If you notice over here at the top left, it actually puts a little inset map here so you can see where you are on more of a national level. So you get more of the local level map here, and then you get more of the national level map here. And so I can go ahead and click to the right if I want and go to the next one. And this one is actually incorporating a tweet from Thomas Jefferson, I guess. And it also has further description about this event here. So as I mentioned, if you go all the way to the first slide, it'll show you an overview of all of the events on this map. So you don't even have to go through the arrows. You can just click on whichever one interests you, and it'll bring you directly to that particular event. So this one is incorporating some sort of audio. And the audio looks like it's hosted on SoundCloud, so I can hear it directly within this frame. Now at the bottom, they give you some tips and tricks as far as keeping it short. You don't want to have more than 20 slides if you can help it. But of course, you certainly can. It just depends on your project. This is just what they recommend. You can also use some really big images that they call gigapixels. And I'll show you an example of that in a second. But basically, it means that instead of using a map like you saw on the left-hand side of that presentation, you can use a really big image and just pan around the image. Unfortunately, that is a little bit more advanced because you have to make sure that you host your image files on a web server. So they're not gonna host those huge images for you on their servers, is basically what that means. So here's some examples here. This one is an example of that gigapixel that I mentioned before. So over here we have an image instead of a map, and this is the overview slide telling you what this is about, and you can click on these different events to go to different areas of that pane, talking about different aspects of this art piece. I can also go to the right. This actually looks pretty nice because it's a huge image, so you get the image over here on the left, but then you also get kind of like a fade out as the background for the text over here on the right. Okay, so I'm going to close this one out. I'll show you an example of another one. So this one was created by the Georgia Humanities, and they have an image here of an old map. And so if you click on one of the events, it'll bring you to a different area of that particular map. So this is the one that I was showing you on the PowerPoint slides earlier. Okay, so how do you create one of these? It's actually pretty simple. You want to go to make a story map. And then it's popping up here for me because I already have one that I've created. So I'll go ahead and click on it, but you would want to click on new, of course. And so for the first slide, that's your title slide, and it's going to show you all of the points from your other slides. So for this particular one, I'm talking about the life of this guy, and that's what my title is. And then here I have a little bit of a description as far as what this presentation is going to be about. I can also include media if I'd like to as well. And then I can put a credit as well as a caption. You can also have different backgrounds. So if you wanted to choose a background color or a background image, you could do so. You can also change your markers. So the markers are these, it's kind of hard to see here, but they're the little points that indicate your different events in your story map. And so to do that, you would go to marker options here. What I really like about this screen is that you can edit in this window, and of course you have all of these features available, but as you're editing, you can click on preview and see what your project looks like so far. So I found that it does take a little bit of time for the map to load up, so you just got to give it a second and it'll eventually do that. So I just chose a very basic map here, and then I've got a couple of different events, and this is my overview slide. So as I create more slides, as you can see, I have a few over here on the left. It'll create additional points. So you may be wondering, well, how do I get the map up here in the first place? Well, what you want to do is go to Options at the top here, and you have a couple of different things you can choose. Of course, you can change your fonts if you would like to. You can choose whether to treat this as cartography or an image, and cartography means it's just going to be treated as a map, so I'll choose that. You can choose a call to action if you want, so their default call to action is start exploring. I've just chosen no. The call to action is basically to tell whoever is visiting your presentation what to do. And then they have your map types here. So I've chosen this Stamen Maps Toner Light one, but you can choose any ones you want. So if I were to choose this one, as you can see in the background, it's changed the way that map looks. So if I do close and go back to preview, that's what this map looks like. So it's still looking at the same points of interest that I've indicated in this story map, but it's just changed the style of it basically. Now you have a whole bunch of different options. You basically just choose whatever one fits your aesthetic or your design that you're working with. And then the option for gigapixel is here. If you've ever used Mapbox, you can also choose the Mapbox option. You basically go to Mapbox's website, create a map on their website, and then you can link directly to it here. Maybe that might be a video I do in the future. Just let me know if you guys are interested in that. OpenStreetMaps is another kind. I think I'm going to try for this watercolor one because it looks kind of interesting. Nah, I'm not going to go with that one because there's no cities or towns or anything like that. So I'm just going to go to the OpenStreetMaps one. Okay, now let's go ahead and go to the first slide. I'll show you how that kind of works. So I just clicked on it over here on the left. Since I'm still in preview, it shows me what an actual user would see. So I've included the actual town that I'm referencing, because this is where this guy was born, and a little bit of information about that, as well as a picture of him and a citation or credit. So if I go to edit, the title is here. I can put in my text here, and of course I can do any number of formatting things, bold, italicized, add links, etc. I am linking directly to some images from my Franklin Memories website, but you can also upload images by clicking upload an image here, and it will host it on Night Labs servers. This is where I put my credit, and then this is where I put the little caption for the image. Now, in order to get this actual place on the map, you have to type in the name of the location or the coordinates. So this guy doesn't have an actual address for where he was born, as in I haven't found that. So what I did was I just typed in the town, and then that's how I was able to find that location. And the reason it shows that this is a photo event is because I have this photo media entered in here. And then that's what I get as my result. Now, let me go through a couple more slides. So this one is a text slide. This one I think has an actual address. And I basically just typed in the address here. And if I wanted to put in additional media, I could do so. So if you have links to a YouTube video or any number of things, you could add that here. Okay, so I'm gonna add one more slide for another event in this guy's life. So I do know that in 1911, he went to Asheville, North Carolina to go to another church. And so I'm just typing a very short title, as well as the year in parentheses. And I'm gonna put the location in. I'm just gonna paste it because I already have it copied. And it just comes up, so I can click it. And then I'll just say very briefly what this is about. So I am gonna add a background to this particular slide just to see what it looks like. I uploaded this one, and then I'll do close. Let's see. All right, so I've got my image over here on the right, and then I've also got my map over here on the left, so that looks pretty good. One more thing I'm gonna do is just make sure to credit the church, since I didn't actually take this photo. Excellent. Now I'll just show you guys one more thing. If I go up to a call for help, so I'm actually going to just set up a link to a YouTube video here so you guys can see what that looks like. And then if I go to preview, so this YouTube video just shows some information about the two churches in Franklin, North Carolina. Today they're one church essentially, so but people can view the video directly from this slide here, skip through it, all of the normal things that you would expect from a YouTube video. And once I'm satisfied with everything, of course I can do save, and if I want other people to view it, I would need to do publish changes, and then from there I can click share and click on this link and share it on social media, copy and paste it anywhere pretty much. If you use medium.com, you can actually copy this link and it'll directly embed your map into medium.com. So the difference between embedding and copying and pasting a link is that embedding will directly show the story map versus linking will take someone to the actual location where the story map lives. So for example, if I copy this link and paste it in a new tab, then it'll show me the story map in full like this. And I get the same functionality. So just think about all of the different possibilities you have with this tool as it relates to family history. You can very quickly send this link to family members. These can be presentations at family reunions. These could be presentations just in the genealogy community to different societies and organizations. And it's pretty interactive as well. So it's not just a bunch of text, a bunch of photos. You can click through things and zoom and see all of the different areas around the areas that you're focusing on for your family events and your family stories. So if you like what you saw, if you learned something that was extremely useful, make sure to give me a like, give me some comments, and subscribe and share with all your other friends. I hope to see you guys next time on the next episode of GenTech.